Hello, I am Chef Casano. This video will demonstrate the preparation for biscuits for the hands-on portion of the culinary assessment. This assessment mirrors exactly what you'll experience in the culinary arts programs. Before we begin, remember there is no cell phones prohibited in the testing area. Please make sure they are out of sight and turned off to avoid distractions. You will follow the following steps to complete the assessment. First, you will put on your hairnet and apron and then go wash your hands. You will measure ingredients according to the recipe and return them back to your workstation. Ingredients will be measured at the common tables. Prepare the recipe according to its directions. While the biscuits are baking, make sure you clean up your utensils and your workstation, making sure to throw away any trash you accumulated. Clean the work area by sweeping the floors and cleaning up any flour debris. After your biscuits are done baking, you will receive a final evaluation from the judges and you will sign a card before leaving the assessment area. Now let's get started. First, you're going to put on your hairnet and apron and wash your hands. Please be sure to put on your hairnet and apron prior to washing your hands. It defeats the purpose if you wash your hands and then put on your hairnet. Let's be sanitary. So to wash your hands, you're going to turn on the hot water, rinse them, and put a couple squirts of soap in. Make sure to lather your hands to get all the germs off. You're then going to rinse your hands, turn off the water, and dry them. Make sure to throw the paper towels into the nearest trash can. Here are the utensils and equipment you will have for the assessment. You have a scale, measuring spoons, you will have a mixing bowl, paper bowls and paper cups, plastic knives, a bench scraper, a ruler, permanent marker, and a pie tin. Next, you will measure your ingredients found on the common tables throughout the kitchen. You may go to a common table and get your ingredients at any time. Measure in any order you choose. Measure ingredients, you'll use a scale and your measuring spoons. To measure on a scale, you might see two different types of scales in each kitchen. You look for the 0 and the red dial. What you want to do is make sure before you begin baking that your 0 scale is where the red arrow is. To do that, you may turn the dial in front to make sure that the red arrow lines up with the 0, or in these smaller scales, there's a little nodule in the back that you can turn to make sure the scale gets to 0. Every time you put a boat on top, you are to weigh out the ingredients and put them back to 0. Make sure the person in front of you doesn't have the arrow on a 1, it will mess up your recipe. Make sure you're always bringing it back to 0 after you put your boat on top. That is a crucial part of baking. To measure with the measuring spoons, you will get your item, like an example of baking powder. You will take your measuring spoons, you will scoop the baking powder. You'll make sure you will use your knife provided and even out the baking soda. Make sure you do this the best as your abilities, as it will affect your recipe. Now you're ready to begin. Here I have measured the flour, the baking powder, the salt, the shortening, and the milk. First, you're going to mix together your dry ingredients with your fingers. You're going to put your flour in your mixing bowl, your baking powder in your mixing bowl, and your salt in your mixing bowl. Please be conscious of your trash. Making a pile will really help you. After you've mixed your dry ingredients, you want to move them together with your fingers. Now you're going to add your shortening. Your shortening is going to be sticky. That's okay. What you're looking for here is to make small, pea-sized shapes once the shortening and the flours are combined. Please make sure to do this step thoroughly to ensure even distribution of shortening. Once the shortening represents pea-sized shapes, you're going to take your milk and add it into your recipe. You're then going to move around the milk with the flour, integrate a dough. Don't worry if your recipe is sticky. It is all part of the process. What you want to do is fold in the flour with the milk. It will all come together. At this point, there should be no panicking. The flour will come together as it works into the shortening. Once you've kneaded your dough 7 times, it is ready. It is okay if your dough is a little tacky, you just don't want it to be sticky. I always grab a little extra flour and put it on my table just to ensure that the dough is not sticky. Remember, if your hands get very doughy, you want to make sure that you are washing them. So now you're going to pat out the dough. Please make sure that you do a rectangle instead of a circle. You're going to push out the dough with the flats of your hands. You're going to use your ruler provided and make sure that the dough is 3/4 inches high. Again, you're making a rectangle shape and that your dough is 3/4 of an inch high. Looks good. Your biscuit will be cut into 6 even pieces. You may use the knife provided or may use the bench scraper. I recommend using the bench scraper. You're going to cut your biscuits in half as even as you can, and then you're going to cut it into thirds to make 6 biscuits. Remember, your recipe requires that you make 6 biscuits. Once you have completed this step, you are to grab your pie tin. There's a marker provided on your table. Your marker should state your name. Please put your full name. Once you have written your name, you should grab the pan spray, spray the inside of the pan, and then place your biscuits in the pan. It is okay how you rearrange the biscuits. 6 biscuits. Your biscuits are ready to go in the oven. Walk over to the oven stations. Someone will be stationed there. You're going to open the oven, being very careful not to burn yourself. The ovens will already be set on 425 degrees. When you put your biscuits in the oven, please ensure that you are shutting the oven right away. Other students may have their biscuits in. You're going to look at the clock to make sure your biscuits are in for 7 minutes or until golden brown. Some biscuits may take longer. Just make sure they're golden brown on top. Again, when you're near the oven, please make sure not to burn yourself. You may leave the oven station. While your biscuit's in the oven, please make sure to clean up your workstation. Any trash you've accumulated, please throw away in the nearby trash cans. You are going to give your dishes to the dishwashing area. When your dishes are at the dishwashing area, please go over to the common tables and grab a bucket and a rag. Make sure you wring your rags out to remove any excess water. What you're going to do is clean your tables, and you can push any unwanted flour onto the floor or nearby trash cans. Remember, if it's a few particles, don't worry about the flour getting on the floor. If you have a big pile of flour, please push the flour into a trash can before continuing. Once your table is clean, you are going to go over and find a broom and sweep up your area. Remember, a clean station is a nice sanitized station. After 7 minutes, you're going to check to see if your biscuits are ready. Please do not open the oven unless necessary. Remember, opening the oven lets out the heat, and you don't want your biscuits to be raw. You're going to check to see if your biscuits are golden brown. If they are golden brown, you're going to make sure you have an oven glove. You're going to make sure your oven glove is on, and you're going to reach in the oven and grab your biscuits. Please handle them with care. You'll take your biscuits back to your station. See how my biscuits are nice and golden brown on top? Just because a biscuit is golden brown doesn't necessarily mean it's done inside. You want to grab one of your biscuits and rip it open. If you see no roll dough and nice flaky biscuit, you're ready to go. If your biscuits happen to be raw inside, please put your biscuits back into the oven if time allows. Remember, you are to look at the clock and cook your biscuits for 7 minutes, but you may need longer. You're going to present your biscuits and raise your hand for the judges to come over. Once the judges come over, they're going to evaluate you. Once the evaluation is complete, you will make sure that your card is signed by the judge before leaving the assessment area. Good luck!